Welcome guys to Football S. We're here right now at Brunswick Juventus. Welcome everybody. Welcome right now. It's all happening. Clap your hands and good luck. If you want to sing a song with me, please do so as well. Come on girls, come on.
The cup of life, this is the one. Now is the time, don't ever stop. We should've known, gotta be strong. We should've known, right from the top. And when you feel the heat, the world is at your
Guys, we're here right now at Brunswick Juventus, guys. It's all happening here. Welcome everyone to Brunswick Juventus. Welcome right now, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight here. We've got a massive show tonight, a massive show. And I tell you what, guys, this is our first show tonight that we've done outside of our studio. We're with Dominic Montesano, Andrew Zinni, and Dino Damarcio. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Come on, give a hand, guys. Come on, guys. We're here tonight at Brunswick Juventus. We've got a lot of people watching tonight, guys. A lot of people throughout Australia. A lot of things happening throughout Australia. We've got our special guest coming on soon, Joe Mirabella, and also our sponsor from Adelaide's arrived. Give Mr. David Ben a hand, guys. He's arrived from Adelaide as well, guys. And we've got some guests here as well. Now, I want to talk to you about Brunswick Juventus, or let me just say, you used to be called Brunswick Juventus. You went to Moreland Zebras. How does that relate, President?
Oh, thank you, Harry. Basically, mate, the federation wouldn't allow us to play with the traditional name Brunswick Juventus.
Yes.
And up until a couple of years ago, they rescinded that. And lo and behold, today we're actually back playing as our association name. So the name's always been part of the club. It's always been our association. Our registrations through, ASIC and all those sort of things have been there. We just weren't allowed to play with that on the field. So, to be able to get that back on the shirts and in the fixtures and on the tables is a really good thing for the club.
Well, that's fantastic because your name is very historical in the NSL, and of course today we have one of your legends in the NSL. But the thing is, Andrew Zinni, welcome Andrew Zinni, give me a hand guys please. Come on you girls at the back, what's going on here? But the thing about this is, Andrew, is that you were there from the beginning, is that right, from the NSL? Of course you were.
Yeah, from the very first year we got promoted, which was, I've got to think back now, 1984, which was my third year at the club. So 1984, 1985 was our big championship year. 1986 we won the league as well, Southern Division. A lot of the memories are flooding back at the moment, looking at the old logo that's come back. It's fantastic.
And of course we've got Dino Damarchi. Of course you were there before the NSL, yes. And you were there in the early days where it was very different. It was all state league, Victorian State League, is that right? That's what it was?
Yeah, that is correct. I started when I was 5 years old with the club, and I played with them for 15 years, played over 400 games and 300 goals, and this year I'm celebrating 71 years with the club.
Give me a hand, guys. Wow. These are legends of the club. These are legends of the club that people need to understand, and this goes back a long, long way away, guys. So how old is your club actually, Dominic?
Well, we're celebrating our 75th year.
75 years? I feel that old. No, I'm joking, mate.
So we're, the 1st of July, we're actually holding our 75th Gala Ball. Information will come out shortly to all of our members and supporters, but we're looking forward to a really good night celebrating the past 75 years of the club and the legends that we've got a part of the club, and also moving forward and the people that we've got at the club at the moment. So looking forward to that.
It is a credit to this club because when we have our sites that we have, we've got Football S where we do our show on, and also what we do, guys, of course we have a site called Former Supporters of National Soccer League Clubs Australia, and we have over 3,000 members. And people keep going on and on. We want to see the clubs back. I know someone's going to talk to me very shortly about that. He's standing at the bar right now. We'll talk to him very soon, guys. Don't be shy, Joe, okay? Don't be shy. It's going to happen, mate. But the thing is, I want to go back to 1985 to this picture, Andrew. I want to go back to this picture. And you know what? The funny thing is, who is that guy at the back there going like this? Paul Wade?
Believe it or not, it's Paul Wade.
Paul, yeah, I interviewed him a few weeks ago. He's still the same guy, never changes. You know him quite well, don't you?
So, I know him extremely well. We're roommates at club level and at Socceroos level. But interesting story about that beard because
Yes.
at the time, I know from everyone would remember John Margaritis, and John
Yes.
Margaritis was very, very superstitious. And Paul Wade during that year decided to grow a beard.
Oh, gee.
But I remember I think we played George Cross on one particular day, and Paul Wade came to the ground he came to the ground with half his beard shaven off. And we'd all decided to put $20 in for him to shave half a beard off because John Margaritis said to him, "We are on a winning streak, do not ever shave that beard off." So we all paid $20, or we all put in $20 for him to keep half a beard on. So he actually came to the game with half a beard, and I think we were match of the day that day. So
my God.
it didn't look too good on TV, to be honest.
You've got a photo of that, or what? I'd love to have seen a photo of that. I could send it to bloody Paul as well. I know him quite well. But the thing is, mate, you've got people here. Remember, I can go through the names here. Paul Wade, remember Jurakovic, Joe Sweeney, Mickey Peterson, Jakub Banovic, Paul how do you say? You mentioned this?
Paul Dranowski.
Fabio Cantalupo, I got that right. Joe Palacides. I mean, can I just tell you something? Andrew Zinni there, of course. Richard Miranda. Can I ask you, that sounds like South Melbourne.
Well,
that's a big story, that one, isn't it?
no, it's actually, we'll backtrack a bit because it wasn't South Melbourne, it was actually Port Melbourne because these boys here, you know, Mehmed, Pella and Mickey P were all junior teammates of mine at Port Melbourne. So, yes, they did join us, and I think we're all around 20 years of age. We were, in fact, 20 years of age in 1985 when we won the championship. But you're right, Harry. A lot of those boys ended up at South Melbourne and ended up doing bigger and better things there as well.
That's right. And also, I just want to find out where you are. In this photo, are you in the middle there? Is that you?
That's me there.
Oh, that's you there.
That's right.
You're not even wearing a shirt there.
No, well, there's a story to that because that was the day we won the national championship. That was the final against Sydney City, but in the quarter final we were playing Heidelberg at Olympic Park, and on that night, scoring the winning goal against Heidelberg, I actually tore my quad.
Gee.
And I was unable to play in the semi and in the final, so that's the reason I was in my suit. So
You didn't play, but you
wasn't one to shy away from the party.
Well, the thing about this is that it doesn't matter. An injured player is still part of the team anyway, so you're part of the premiership anyway. That's the thing that always happens.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go back down here to Dino right now. Dino, you played before the NSL many years ago when it was called the Victorian State League Soccer.
That is correct, yeah. I started had a couple of games in 1962 and played about 3 games in 1962, then played a few games of reserves, seniors, juniors, and
And the thing about this is I can go right back to there if you like. I can go right back. Does Tony Charlton ring a bell to you?
Tony
Charlton. I can go that far back if you want me to.
Yeah, I can remember Tony in 1970 when they were televising all the games.
That's right.
But my biggest moment of my career was when I was 12 years old. I met the great Sir Stanley Matthews.
Ooh, my God.
At Olympic Park, and I was ball boy, and after the game there was 4 of us, and he came into our dressing rooms and he gave us £5 each.
Gee, unbelievable. To get that money from a legend like that, that's amazing. So did you keep that £5 or did you spend it?
Oh, we had to spend it in those days.
He should have signed it for
Oh,
you.
I know, but one of those things.
That's amazing. But the thing is, mate, you go back a long way. You've got something under there you can show us under there as well?
Yes, I've received a gold medal from
my God.
the Old Boys Club. When I turned 30, in appreciation of what I'd done with them from when I was 5 years old until they had a special do for me at the Cavour Club.
Beautiful.
And they presented me with the gold medal. So
Give me a hand, guys. So going back to those days at the Victorian State League Soccer, I remember at Channel 9. Isn't it funny? Channel 9 used to cover those during the early 70s. Remember those days?
Yes.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I can remember that. That was the year we won everything. And
Everything? Tell us everything about it.
we won the State League, we won the top 4, we won the Doherty Cup, and I think that's about it because there was only 3 top 4. But can I tell you a little story? Channel 9 used to have a show called In Melbourne Tonight.
Yes.
And when Tony Charlton finished, that was Jimmy Hannon doing it.
Yes, I remember him very well.
Remember him? And he called 5 of us into the studio on the Monday for In Melbourne Tonight. Anyhow, the show went on, and then all of a sudden he introduced us 5 players, and I think it was set up, but anyhow, I was the last bloke, and he called all these names out, and then he goes, the only Australian born playing at the moment, and he said, tell him your name. And I went, Dino De Marchi. Well, the whole studio laughed because I was supposed to be Australian with an Italian name.
Gee.
So it was great memories, as I said. I actually played with a lot of First Division players from England and Scotland.
Gee, fantastic.
And in 1962, I played with 3 players who came out from Italy, who played First Division. I actually played with them, so I enjoyed it, yeah.
Those were the days when you're talking about Australia being the last frontier of the game.
Yeah.
The last frontier. And the thing is, they travelled so far, and they were thinking, they were probably saying to you, what am I doing here? Is that right? What am I doing here?
That's correct, yeah. They're all migrants, and all they used to play for a bottle of beer.
Gee, a bottle of beer.
I can always remember our first game. Our first game as a mascot, we played at Royal Park, just outside the zoo, and the supporters had to get around us or get around the player so they could get change. And I'll always remember this Maltese guy. He had a house just across the road, 2 showers, and he let the boys use their shower after the game.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And we used to travel, every game we used to travel in a furniture van, and they used to get changed in the furniture van.
I'm going to go back and mention a few teams that I remember as a young kid, right?
Yeah,
Hakoah St Kilda,
correct.
Paranslavia,
Yes.
Kieler Austria,
Yep.
yes. I can go back, my memory, of course, Brunswick Juventus. Didn't we have Essendon Lions?
No, not in my days. We had Polonia, Hakoah, JUST, Ringwood City, Wilhelmina.
Yes,
we had
yes.
all those. Yeah.
Murrell Bark,
Croydon. Murrell Bark was a very hard team to play against.
still around, and then they're still around.
Yeah. But as we were talking, Andrew and I, in those days we played it hard, not dirty. It was hard.
Yes.
But I have to be honest, there was none of this rolling over and acting work.
Oh, I
Got
can
straight
imagine.
away. And we had a referee, policeman, George Harrison, and I'll always remember him refereeing our game. And I don't know how about Andrew's refereeing, but our referees nowadays, they used to talk to us, say well done or something. But this particular referee, if I would pass the ball to Andrew and it was a bad pass, and I would swear or say something bad, he'd walk up to you and tap you on the shoulder. He said, "Excuse me, but Dino, do you want an early shower? I'm the only one who can swear on the
Oh
park."
my God, they were tough. They was rough then.
Oh, yeah.
They were rough. These. And Andrew, I want to go back to you right now. You came as a junior from Port Melbourne,
Port Melbourne Juniors, yeah.
and you came over here. What year?
I came over, well, I was actually doing my Form 6 in those days,
Yes.
which is what the equivalent to Year 12 now. So Tony Bodgie was coach of the seniors at the time, and he would come to watch the Port Melbourne team because we had quite an exceptional team. We would win some games, 10, 12, 13-0, word got out, and we actually would attract a pretty good crowd as a junior team, probably 400 or 500 people. And Tony Bodgie would often be seen at our games, and he approached me after one particular game and asked me to join, well not join, but come and train with the seniors. And I said to him at the time that I wanted to get through my Year 12 and then potentially the following year come and join the club. But he insisted on getting me there just to train. He said, "You've got no obligations, you can train whenever you want."
Yes.
And I thought, well, okay, I've got nothing to lose. And I came down and would train once or twice a week, and I did that for a month or two, and then at one stage Tony was struggling to field his first 11 team and a bench, and he asked me to sit on the bench. So I did that, and I was fortunate enough to get a run at a particular game and come on and do well. And as it turned out, I ended up signing the following year, which was 1983. At which time I'd also started university, and within a year or so got Mike Peterson across to the club, Mem Jurakovic across to the club from Port Melbourne, and also Joe Palatides.
That's amazing that you got all those guys over, and then they ended up at that other opposition as well.
That's right.
And John Margaritis went there as well, didn't he? He left as well.
John Margaritis left. I think he left. Well, we won the championship in '85, and he went and joined South Melbourne in '86. And I remember playing. It was the last game of the season against South Melbourne at Albert Park.
Yes.
And that particular game, I think we had to win to win the minor championship to end up on top. And if we had have won that game, South Melbourne were going to miss out on the finals. And we ended up winning that day, and I was fortunate enough to score a hat trick. So I had some very, very fond memories of bidding John farewell. Particularly a year later.
I think somebody would have been upset here for him to leave. Is that right? They were really calling him, you know what's going on
here. Yeah, but then he ended up dragging across quite a few of the boys as well. He took Mickey P and he took Paul Wade and Richard Miranda, I think, at the time.
That's right. Exactly.
And then eventually went across as well. So they were interesting times, and certainly a great part of the evolution of our game in this country.
It's amazing this club has been around for so long, like you said, 75 years, Diamond. You've got your ball and everything happening. By any chance, is football less invited?
Sorry?
Is football less invited?
Yes, definitely been invite there.
Invite there.
Might even be good to maybe do a little bit of a...
Well, we could do something down there for sure, that's right. But gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for coming on with me right now. I'd like to call Mr. David Ben, please, our sponsor. Thank you for coming on, boys.
Thank you.
So, and we got somebody very special after this one, so make sure, guys. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dino, for coming on.
Yeah, no problems.
Guys, thank you. So thanks, boys. Thank you. So, guys, right now, we've got Mr. David, and he's flown all the way from Adelaide. Give me a hand, please. All the way from Adelaide to actually show you the original Phillips League shirts in 1977. We have a video, not a video, but something for you guys to hear something from someone very high up in 1977. You may know that too, Andrew. Some really high up Australian Soccer Federation president at the time. So let's see if we can get this. We can actually hear this, guys. I'm hoping this works. Actually, I hope it works. So let's just try this at the moment. Let's plug our system in to try and get this happening as well, boys. So yes, let's do this, because it's a very special one for you guys to listen to this audio before I bring David on, guys. Very special. If it works, that is. Technology, boys. So that's not going to work. No, it's not going to work tonight, is it? I don't think so. But anyway, we're going to talk about... I'm going to bring that on very shortly. But anyway, what I'm going to talk about, guys, is about 2 years ago, we had a project with our sponsor here, David, from Adelaide, right? And we thought about bringing out the 1977 Phillips League shirts, the first year of the national competition. Isn't that funny, Joe? I'm going to talk to you about that too. But the thing is that everything old again is new again. And it's exactly the same way it's actually worked out, guys. So, David, it's a big credit to you to actually start these fantastic shirts.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the club, Brunswick Juventus, for inviting us here. It's good of you to do that. And just to help us promote Harry's show, and also my statement, there is only one football. So that's what I've got on all of these shirts on the back.
Yes.
There's a statement that says onlyOneFootball.com. And I believe that's the reason why I've come up with that is that ever since I've been in Australia, I've always thought, well, why is there 4 games all called the same, all called football? Rugby league, rugby union, Aussie rules, called football. I said there is only one. So I've made a statement there. So it's a registered name. Only One Football. But the shirts that I've got here are the Phillips League shirts. I've got 12 of them on the website. I've only got a few of them here. So you've got the Lakers there. You've got the sublimated type shirt there of Marconi, and I've also got the embroidered one here. Okay. Now they've all got Only One Football on the back. Okay, it's a registered name. Now I've also got these shirts here.
Yes.
Right. Going back to the first time Australia made the World Cup, 1974. That one there. Now that's a beautiful shirt. They're all the same material, polyester. I've got St George. That one there.
Guys, these are all historical shirts. They've been amazingly made. There's also embroidery. There's also stuff for the women's
this one
World
here
Cup.
Is for the Women's World Cup, but it could be worn, you know, anywhere really. I mean, so you can go along to a function and just argue the point that there is only one football, because I've got it written on the back there. So, and I've called it the Globe Player, this one here, okay, because that could be worn anywhere, as I say. It doesn't actually say football on there at all, really, about the World Cup or anything like that. It's showing a player kicking the ball in the globe. All right, so it's my design. Hopefully that'll do.
So yeah, guys, they're all available on your
What it is all about, first and foremost, was this shirt here, which I brought out, which just sells quite well. There is only one football. Okay. Now they come in all sorts of sizes, and I've got some to give away for the young kids here today as well, and some caps. All right, for the club.
There you go, guys. Give them a hand, please. And so, David, they're all available on the there is only one football.com.
Yep.
So they can call you and talk to you about. You can make shirts for them as well and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's at least a 3-week wait.
3-week wait. That's fine, guys.
For that.
Fantastic. So, thank you, David, for coming on.
All on PayPal.
All on PayPal as well. Now we're going to call some gentleman here right now who's actually. He is the owner of Melbourne Victory. He's an owner of the A-League as well, part of the A-League as well, guys. Mr. Joe Mirabella, could you please join us? Thank you, sir. Come on. Now, guys, Joe has a lot to talk about the second division, so that's what we're here to talk about right now. Over here, Joe, right here in this seat here. So the thing is, Joe, you have a few. I could read something here that you've written for me. I'm going to go by ear here now. Brunswick Juventus are going to the second division. You put your interest in there as well. Interest right now to play in the second division. How's it looking? What are you thinking at the time? And things need to be done in the second division. You're close to it, Joe.
Okay. Well, I'll speak about Brunswick Juventus. For the first time, the club's matured, and it's prepared to go to the finances, the ones who back this club. I believe that they've already committed the dollars, and they're prepared to bring the club to a professional level. So that's a maturity stage for our club after 75 years, which is good. National second division, it's a must in our country. We need, like Graham Arnold said, more professional players, so Australia has a chance to win a World Cup in the next 40 to 50 years. We haven't got enough game time. So, when Football Australia announced that they are going to have a national second division with professional and full-time football players and administrators, there were people saying you won't even get 10 or 12 clubs applying. For the first time, I have to admit, we got 38 clubs which applied, 32 applications, which is incredible. You would have people like John Warren, the late John Warren, Fielman Marlis, Zafa George, saying, thank God after 50, 60 years that we've been involved with this game, we're finally getting somewhere. So I believe that the National Second Division is a must. I think that Football Australia has to give a fair go to it now. Should interview all 32 applicants, should see and make sure that they're mature and ready to start this second division fully professional. The A-League needs to go to 16, and the way it should go to 16 for the benefit of the game, through merit on the football park. So that means if we're getting clubs investing money, and it'll cost them anywhere from 3.5 to 5 million a year, give them the 2 years to 3 years to mature and promote up. Let's go from 12 to 14, let's go from 14 to 16, let's do the pyramid of our game, which is what Football Australia came out and documented 2 years ago. So I think we're ready for a national second division. Clubs have matured. The first time that we've seen South Australia has come up with a combined team, backed by Football South Australia and backed by 3 big clubs. And that shows maturity. When you can get 2 Italian clubs, which are very good Italian clubs, and a Greek club to combine and put a combined bid, that's showing you that it's matured. We've got Brisbane Strikers who've played in the National League with another 3 clubs in Brisbane combining and putting a bid. 2 clubs in Western Australia have combined and put a bid. We've got a Canberra bid. This is what our game's been waiting for, what we never thought. We've got clubs like Preston that are drawing 6,000 people at home, and I love it. We can't get teams in the A-League to get 6,000 people at a game. Forget victory, we're always up there in the 5,000 and 6,000s lately. But this is what the game needs. The game needs this, to go along and to grow and get more people and more players involved. If we have a professional second division, that's giving Graham Arnold, all these young players that are on the bench on professional contracts, giving them game time in the B League. We're starting to have coaches under pressure because, as you know, in England, all over the world, forget America, that's why America will never win a World Cup. If a coach is under pressure and he's second last or third last anywhere in the world, they have to pick up their performance or they're out because the team is going to relegate. And that's what we need in our game.
Give Joe a hand, please, guys. Joe, how can we get people back to the game? Do you think that we can, as the second division starts, do you think that support will come back that the NSL had when we had the NSL out there? And of course the clubs were all community clubs. And the thing is about the community clubs, those clubs were more of an outing. People used to go to an outing. It was all European-backed clubs. Migrants used to started them all. This is where our passion has gone. Now, we need to get that passion back in these clubs. Do we have that passion? I'm sure we do, because a lot of those clubs, the former NSL clubs, have put their interest in. What do you think of that?
Look, I agree. A lot of the NSL clubs have put their interest back. Let's go back to the past.
Yes.
In 95, 96, a particular person who never knew if the ball was round or square was chairman of Football Australia, the ASF in those days, decided we're going to have a locked door competition. Let's get rid of 3 clubs. Unfortunately, our club in Heidelberg and Parramatta Eagle were one of the 3 clubs that they got rid of. We'll lock the doors. And what happened to the NSL? I never forget Tony Lovell said these words to George Vasilopoulos. He said, "George, you have started tonight the end of the NSL. We won't last more than a decade." The NSL did not last more than a decade. By 2004 it was destroyed. People were brought away from the game. No promotion, relegation. TVs didn't want to know about us. It took Frank Lowy to start the circle of creating a new A-League and making it a professional game. From there, Australia qualified to the World Cup. People have started to come back. Last year, Australia made the quarter-finals in the World Cup. if you would have told me that in the last 2 World Cups that Australia's been in, we lost to the world champions, we got eliminated by the world champions, and one was, being from Italian background, a penalty given in the last minute, eliminated Australia, Italy won the World Cup. Australia was unlucky to draw in the last 2 minutes against Argentina from a young kid, missed a goal, but we even missed one 7 minutes before that. If we score that, we go to extra time. We might make the semi-finals. Now, if we did not have professional football, there is no way that we would have been in the world game where we are. We've got, for the first time in our lifetimes, the Women's World Cup. This will bring tourism dollars to Australia. This should be, and I hope the Matildas win this World Cup. We've had Postagoglu win the Asian Cup for us. Let's hope the Matildas win this World Cup in our home territory. Regarding bringing people back, of course, a national second division, which is now matured. We've got A-League clubs which are dying and needs the competition to go to 16. You've got now 32 applicants. We should be doing a 16-team national second division, full-time professional players, administrators. We start to create new coaches. We start to get these young kids, instead of being on the bench, playing in a second division for competition, they go to the A-League. The A-League should straight away start opening, and Football Australia's mission should be one thing: scrap this salary cap. You've got overseas investors. We've got the Manchester Group investing money. Your job in the A-League is to get minimum, the A-League champions should be in the grand final, if not win it, but in the grand final every year of the Asian Football Champions Cup. That's what we should be driving. The Australian national team and the Matildas should be Asian champions every 4 years. That's what we've got to try to. Let's start getting our Joeys back up. Let's start getting the young Matildas back up. Australia is now at its greatest birth and the growth is there. And for the first time I can say we're matured. I never thought that this club here said we're prepared to let the investors come in, do the best for this club and bring this club together with whoever, and let's aim for the A-League. Now, this is a club that's been playing in NPL too. I was glad to see Preston apply for the National Second Division, because this is going to bring another 6,000 people at every National Second Division game. South Melbourne, they've applied. They're a rival to our club. Now, Andrew, we're a better club than what they were. But it's good to see that South Melbourne is putting an application in, and now let's see what they've been screaming for the last 15 years. Give us a chance, and we'll be back in the highest level of Australian football. Now allow these clubs, because don't forget South Melbourne is a club that can bring 5,000 to 10,000 people at a game. Right? So these people here are finally there, they're getting their finances ready, and they're prepared to put full-time administrators and full-time playing. So why stop them? That's what I say. And the most important thing is, Football Australia said that they want to unite the whole football community and bring it into one. They want a pyramid football. Now's the time that the pyramid football should start. Let's not divide the football community. Let's get them together. And if we do a national second division, please do not start in winter, because let's learn from what happened in the past. National second division has to start at the same time as the A-League, because how are we going to have promotion and relegation? Are we going to have that the first team, or the first two teams that finish in the second division, the week after starting the A-League? That can't happen. We need them to mature. If you finish on top and you go into the A-League, you need your 3 months to get ready to play in the A-League. That's what we should learn. This will create, remember Harry, this will create big TV dollars, because if the AFL from 2025 to 2031 is getting $4.5 billion in TV, that's $750 million per year for the AFL. Our game has got to offer today the Australian national team, the Matildas, the young Matildas, the young Socceroos, the Australian Cup, the A-League Cup, the Asian Cup. If we combine all of these, and don't forget we've had 1.2 million viewers watching Australia play at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure if we combine all of these, if Football Australia says we're going to go and sell a whole package and let Channel 9 and 7 fight for it, Channel 10 fight for it, I'm sure that we can demand the same dollars that the AFL's demanding. And that's where our principle is. And once we get that, that means money gets divided to the A-League, the second division, the state and territory federations, which they would put the money into grassroots. Australian champions get some money to play in the Asian Cup. Whoever wins the A-League Grand Final gets money to play in the Asian Cup. And maybe one day, before I pass away, we might end up seeing a World Cup in Australia. Our dream should be that in 2042, Australia has a World Cup.
Exactly. Joe, the other thing I'd like to ask you is, I'm very concerned about the second division with promotion and relegation. I don't know when we're going to get this. I was told 2 to 3 years, but then 10 years doesn't sound like a very good time to do promotion and relegation. What do you think?
Look, it's pretty simple. Everyone in the last week has seen what I've written down. The A-League has now decided that they're going to sell franchises again, so that means they'll go to 16 teams. If that happens, there's no point of having a national second division, because if that happens, whoever invests $25 million in the A-League, which will be 2 teams next year and 2 teams the year after, they would minimum, somebody that invests 25 million, they would have to outlay another 15 million to establish it. They're not going to be guaranteed of crowds and sponsors straight away, but that locks the door for the A-League. They've got their 16 teams. To start a second division, you're not going to get full-time professional, because you can't be promoted for at least 15 to 20 years because the gates are locked in the A-League. The A-League can't allow that they receive 25 million from each new franchise and tell them you've only got 2 or 3 years. No, they're going to have to give them at least 15 to 20 years licence commitment, because they've thrown the dollars in there. So now this is where Football Australia has got the vote for the good of the game. This is where Football Australia has to decide. Do we backtrack and the 15-year plan that we had, that we're going to unite football together and that we're going to create a professional second division with promotion and relegation? Do we eliminate that and go to a franchise 16 teams? Secondly, are we part of the AFC, or are we now going to join Oceania again? Because we've got Wellington in the A-League, and they've got their own rules, because Wellington hasn't got the visa system that all the Australian players have. Wellington is allowed to have New Zealand and Australian players, which don't count as visa players, right? And then anybody outside of that, they bring in as a visa player. If Wellington is part of our Australian National League, because I'm worried now for Australian football, that's my main concern, Australian football. Wellington's part of the Australian A-League, they should, as minimum, comply with every other Australian team in the A-League and say, if you bring in a New Zealand player, we're not here to promote Football New Zealand's players, your New Zealand players would be as a visa spot. Secondly, now we want to introduce Auckland. I believe FA had problems with the AFC to convince them that we could keep Wellington. But now we want to introduce Auckland. So Football Australia here has to decide, are we going to promote New Zealand players for the New Zealand national team, or are we going to promote our Australian players to help the Australian national team in men and women? That's what we've got to decide. And that decision, and I hate it when people say, oh, this is the A-League's fault. This is not the A-League's fault, because like every big corporation, Coles, West Farmers, the CEO of West Farmers decides what's going to happen at Kmart, Target and Bunnings. Not the managing director of Target or the managing director of Kmart. The CEO of West Farmers decides their direction. In this case here, it's the CEO and Football Australia Board have to decide, are we going to be part of the AFC? Are we going to promote Australian football? And are we going to grow the game through the proper channels and not kill the clubs and divide this game and divide our football supporters by closing the door in the A-League and leaving the rest of the clubs back where they are? That's how I see the game. National Second Division, I can't see going fully professional. Clubs investing $3 to $5 million every year for the next 20 years and telling them, but you're never going to go up. We just want you to get all of our players, you work on them so the A-League can take them for free of charge. I can't see any club doing that.
That's the thing, guys. The thing about this, Joe, is I'm just really concerned about having a second New Zealand team. I mean, where is this coming from? I mean, isn't there any consultation with the FA or the club owners as well in the A-League? That's the other thing too. Why are they going ahead on their own without any consultation, Joe? Why are they doing this?
Look, don't blame the A-League for all of this.
Yes.
Because I get it from a lot of people. I go to watch every game. I go and watch South Melbourne. I go and watch Heidelberg. I go and watch my old club here, Brunswick Juventus. On the weekends when the A-League, I bring my kids to every A-League game because in my house it's only the real football, not the Easter egg football. But let's not blame the A-League because, as I said, Danny Townsend can come up with an idea. Don't forget, he's got to have approval, or he's got to discuss it at least with James Johnson, who is the CEO of Football Australia. All right? So that's how corporate governance work, that's how big organisations work, and that's definitely how Football Australia is working. So, that he wants to come up with Auckland, it is James Johnson's job and Football Australia chairman and board to go to him and say, no, you're not having another team from New Zealand. Let's start getting a team out of Wollongong. Let's start getting a team out of Tasmania, because we're talking about Tasmania, who's part of Australia. We've left them out of our game for a long time. Now today the AFL is talking of introducing an AFL team out of Tasmania. Wouldn't it be good if we're the first sport to introduce a Tasmanian team in our national game? Don't forget, football, our real football in Australia is what penetrates around the whole world, because when Australia plays in a World Cup, the whole world knows who Australia is. The AFL and the NRL cannot give the Australian public what we can deliver in the world of sport.
Exactly. Guys, give me a hand, please. Joe, thank you very much for today. And thank you for inviting us to, of course, the Brunswick Juventus, a very historical club in the NSL. Thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you very much for our guests, Andrew Zinni, Dino DiMarcio, and the president. Where is this guy? He's hiding, is he? Where's the president? Is he gone, is he? Up to the juniors. Come on, bring him in, mate. I'm only joking. But thanks, guys, tonight from Football Less. Thank you for inviting us. It's all happening, and we're going to keep continuing our show as much as we can to push the second division, just like Joe is. And we'll say thank you, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. Thank you, Joe.